welcome to a new episode of the Woolly Thistle Shopcast. It's great to be back with you, and I'm here with Maggie.
Hi.
And we have a very full Shopcast for you this time, full of great stuff, which I'm excited to share. And just want to say thank you for coming back to watch. Thank you for all your comments that you leave as well, and thumbs up. We really appreciate that, and we love reading your comments and chatting with you. And if you're new to the Shopcast, welcome. We are really happy that you're here. Leave us a comment and tell us you're new. So, what shall we talk about first? Should we mention a winner first?
Yeah, let's start with a winner.
Okay. Do you want to read Meg's? Oh,
yeah,
the winner is Meg.
The winner is Meg. Winner from last time is Meg Lent, and she said in her comment, just got a copy of Selbu Mittens, saw it on your shelf, and loving the history and stories and people who made the mittens, even more than the patterns themselves. The author apparently took 3 years to put the book together. Highly recommended for both knitting and history buffs.
Yes.
So congratulations, Meg. If you send us an email and in the
subject line
put prize winner, and email us at info@thewoollythistle.com, and we will get you your $25 gift certificate.
Congratulations, Meg. That's awesome. And yeah, I can't agree more with that, actually. The Selbu Mittens book, which I don't know if we have it here, is down here. This one here is phenomenally interesting, and just look at all those mittens. Lots and lots of charts and
yeah, charts and
yeah,
just
beautiful history. So
amazing.
Thank you for shopping with us, Meg. We appreciate that. So let's get into what we're wearing. Oh my gosh!
I'm wearing it.
Here it is.
So here it is with buttons.
It fits.
And
like,
I went with the thistle buttons.
nice.
We can put a photo in.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's great.
It looks fantastic. Yes.
I love it. It's cozy. It's comfortable. This is probably like my 4th or 5th time wearing it already. First time wearing it with buttons. I couldn't be bothered. I just wore it.
I feel like everybody is just so thrilled for you. When you posted, or when we posted on Instagram.
Yeah, I was really
blew up.
overwhelmed by the response. Like, I told my husband, I'm like, this could really go to somebody's head. Like, this is ridiculous. Everybody was just so nice.
Yeah.
And, like, I texted you casually, like, is it okay if I put this on the Woolly Thistle Instagram? And
Yes.
you're like, sure. And then it was just like,
Yep.
everybody commented.
It was awesome. It was
So
awesome.
many
and
comments.
so well earned, because you knitted it twice.
Yeah.
If you stand up, you've knitted it longer than you
I
actually
did.
intended.
I knitted it, but it's perfect.
It's
like,
perfect.
it's just how I wanted
love,
it.
I love
For
the ones
anybody
that-
paying attention to detail, I miscounted on the buttons, so I need to buy some more buttons. and
Right
finish.
to the end, there's
Right to-
little
I've
full
done
pads,
almost
which is
everything
very
twice
cute.
on this sweater.
Yeah,
but
it
totally
looks
worth it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It looks so good on you, and I think your colors are perfect.
Yeah, I'm really happy with them. I'm glad I sort of slowed down and reknit the whole thing so that I could think about color. But I'm really happy with it, and really everybody's comments have been amazing.
Yeah.
I know a couple of people in the group, like Gail, said that she was inspired and has ripped back and is redoing
Well,
things.
I was just going to ask you that.
It's fantastic.
How do you feel now that you've been through all that knitting and that you ripped out so much of it?
I mean, I wasn't, like, I was annoyed when I did it, annoyed that I hadn't been listening to that gut feeling of, like, it's not quite right.
Yeah.
But I was persisting in knitting it anyway, so I knew it was the right thing to rip it back, because I wasn't going to be happy with it, and I wouldn't have been happy. There's nobody in my life who would have worn it.
Yeah.
So,
And
it was okay.
I think it's really interesting, though, that you had a gut check telling you.
I did.
We all know that little voice, don't
Yes.
we? Yeah.
And given that it's a sweater with this much knitting in it, like, I couldn't not rip back.
Yeah.
Because I would have been heartbroken if I couldn't wear it.
But were you tempted to just throw it in time out for a long time?
Maybe if I hadn't been doing this.
That'll fix everything.
I think I really wanted the sweater. I was determined to really get it. And I think between seeing you throughout the years, just sort of rip back and persevere. I watched the Wool and Spinning podcast, and Rachel is always talking about, if it's not quite right, you're not going to like it, you're not going to wear it. So she's sort of fearless in how she rips back and redoes things.
So if you're future knitting and you're knitting a sweater and you hear that voice, it's still really easy to ignore it.
I'll probably pause. I think from now on, I will be persistently checking gauge throughout projects.
I don't think we talk about that enough. That it's not it's not enough to check gauge just in your swatch and then go off and knit. That I found that with the Victory cardigan, that I knit the whole thing at the wrong gauge, even though I got gauge in the beginning.
And I feel like even now when I measure, the gauge on my sleeves is slightly different from the gauge on the body.
Yep.
And the gauge on this body, even though I knit it, like I kept the needles the same, like I had measured really well on my sweater swatch. And I had those numbers. I kept the same exact needles, like same needles. And my gauge is still a little bit different.
I think that's phenomenally interesting, because what the viewers don't know is that we have an interview coming up with Kristin Drysdale, who's Scandiwork, and she talks about that very thing.
Yeah.
So that's coming later in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. And it's true. So yes, your sleeves, you maybe would have benefited from going up a size, do you think?
Maybe.
To keep the gauge of the same gauge as the body.
I think I'm a much more tight knitter than I realized. And as it is, I went up a needle size from what is recommended in the book, but I think I probably could have gone up another.
Yeah. Well, it's perfect. It's absolutely
perfect. But
perfect.
I'm really happy with it. Math was my friend.
Yeah.
As was Kelsey.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Well, you should be. Well done. Hard earned.
Yeah, and so now I'm thinking of like what's going to be my next
any
project.
thoughts you want to share?
I actually really want to make the the Blackjack?
Yes.
I really want to make
like
that.
One.
And
I
it's like navy and the same color. And I just think it would be so squishy.
I like the Anna Jack actually. I think I'd go with that.
I like that one too, but
maybe change up
something
the
about
colors
the
a bit.
Blackjack that I really like. But I have a sweater quantity for Ridari, and that's probably next.
A sweater quantity for Ridari in Latlopi?
In Latlopi.
Awesome. Is this for you or hubby? Or?
No, it's for me. And I figure I wanted a little bit roomy, and so I'll probably make the small.
But here, this is the Ridari.
Yeah.
I knitted mine for John.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like a boyfriend sweater. It's big and warm. It's lovely. Knit in Latlopi.
Yeah. So mine, I bought like a light blue for the body, the main color, and then there's like an orangey rusty and some cream. It'll be pretty.
Yeah. Go with your eyes.
And a dark blue, I think.
Yeah.
On the yoke. So
nice. Very nice.
I've had that in the stash for like a year or so.
So that will be a quick knit. I find that even in John's size, everything will fly. Yeah, you only have one color most of the time. All of that is great.
Yeah,
well, good for you. Yeah, we love it. How is the Rauma to wear?
I love it. I'm nice and cozy. I'm usually chilly, but I think the double knitting. And, I mean, wool and spun, you can just kind of feel that it's cozy.
It's holding the heat around you.
Yeah.
And it's particularly cold these days, so that's good.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like 7 this morning.
Yeah. It's cold.
But I was nice and warm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
well, congratulations.
Thank you.
We applaud you.
Yeah, and I really thank everyone for the support. I've tried to answer all the comments, but it is impossible. There are so many. Between all the Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, there's a lot. It is wonderful, and I really appreciate it. And I have put in a thank you everyone, but I never know if everybody sees those.
Yeah. It's, you're talking.
It is appreciated.
You're talking about the best community in the world. I mean, really, you guys are just, you respond to what we're talking about and what we're knitting, and we really, really love that. And just, I think Maggie is getting a first-hand experience of how amazing it is when you guys like something and you want to give us a high five, which is just so lovely. So thank you.
It's been wonderful. So thank you. I don't know that I would have persisted as quickly.
Deadline knitting.
Well, I just really wanted to get it done, and
and now you have, and you're going to be wearing that for a while because it's plenty cold here.
Yeah, and a lot of people were really kind in saying you're amazing, but I think it's just persistence and one stitch at a time.
That's it.
So I had no special skills other than before this.
Oh, it was your first steek.
It was my first steek.
How did that go? Did you have to drink a couple of beers?
I didn't. Probably best I didn't. But no, I just I got to that point and I did needle felt a little bit, especially at the top where all the colors were.
Did you do that before you cut?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I needle felted it.
Okay, let's break this down. Did you put the button bands on after or before?
Before. So I picked up the stitches and put the button bands on, and I had to do those twice as well because the first time I had too many stitches.
You're turning it into me.
Well, I could tell, I thought I had the right number of stitches. Like I put in, the pattern says 4 stitches over 5, like pick up 4 over 5 stitches.
Right.
So I did that, but it was too
little
many.
wavy.
It was a lot wavy.
Huh.
And actually the first 2 rows looked just fine, so I kept going. But it wasn't until I added
that it
more
flared.
length that it looked like.
Huh.
So I'm like, well, that's not gonna work. So
Yeah.
what's knitting back a couple garter rows after that?
No,
So
right.
and then I picked up 3 to every 4 stitches,
Which is the typical.
Yeah, and that worked
Just
much
fine.
better. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so did you block it before you cut?
I don't remember. I think I did.
It
I don't
probably
remember.
doesn't.
It was just like a frenzy, like trying to get it done.
Yeah,
but,
it probably doesn't matter as much, I would say, if you've already got the button bands on. But I typically will block before I cut, just so that everything is matched up where it should be.
Yeah, and I took my time when I did block it to actually, like, I laid it out and I really made sure the measurements were right and that everything was lining up just right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and then you cut it.
And
what
then
did you cut it with little scissors? Or
yeah, I have cute little scissors. They like look like a bird. And they're nice and sharp.
Yeah.
And nobody uses them except for yarn.
Right.
And yeah, I just stayed, like, it was a 5-stitch steek, so I just stayed right up the middle.
Did you reinforce? Well, okay. So did you reinforce a steek in any other way? No.
I just went for it.
Yeah.
That's my girl. I'm like, wow. It's sticky wool. I shouldn't have to too much. The book does say to reinforce, so I will say.
But you also then needle.
So I needle felted it, but I didn't needle felt, like I wasn't real disciplined because I got really excited. So where up here where you had more colors and ends doing funny things, especially even over the steek stitches. So I reinforced it pretty well over there, and actually I got so excited. I needle felted part of the pattern, and so I'm like trimming away. But it's fine. It all works out. But
so wait, did you needle felt it before you cut the steek?
I needle felted
and
it before
it was the bridge stitches that you needle felted.
Yes.
Okay, so that when you cut them, they weren't all just going to like open up. They were actually, pushed into themselves.
Yeah, they were all felted. But I didn't do it like all the way down because the steek stitches, they were only 2 color, and I figured it was sticky wool. And
Can I see?
Oh yeah. So I can unbutton.
Yeah.
Somebody asked to see the inside too.
Yeah. So if you show them,
you can see there.
Very neat and tidy, and here it's not so needle felted. You can see that. Right. But show us a needle felted.
And the needle felted bit is up there, and you can see that is tighter.
Yeah. So that is something I've never done, and actually the first time I ever heard about it was Emma Barnaby, who is also going to be on the podcast today.
Yeah.
And but I'm sure other people have been doing that for a long time.
Yeah, and somebody asked to see the inside. I guess I could take it off, but
don't take it off. Oh, you match your top and everything.
Yes, my top matches.
It's beautiful, isn't that amazing?
So.
Wow, super proud of you. Well done. It's like you should get a knitting badge.
I do, and I'm wearing it.
Yes. We should have a steeking badge and a knitted twice badge.
Yeah,
we should. That would be funny.
We should. We used to watch Phineas and Ferb. Did you ever?
Yeah, I love that.
What's that little group where they're always getting badges?
Yeah, was that Jessica, the little girl? Was she
Isabella?
Isabella, that's right.
Yeah, we have like little badges for everything.
If you haven't watched Phineas and Ferb, even if
so
you don't have kids around, it's really, really funny. Yeah, it's on Disney, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well done to you.
Thank you.
I'm also wearing an FO. And
I love this.
This is super fluffy. Have you felt it yet?
Oh.
So, isn't it nice? This is Rauma Finullgarn knitted with a strand of their Plum, which is kid mohair and polyamide. It makes it super fluffy, and there's a lovely halo. And I do have the little neckline here. And right behind you, Maggie, is another one I'm knitting. And this one's for my daughter. Oh, and thank you as well for your lovely comments about seeing my daughter on the Shopcast. She is 16, and she was willing to model some stuff. So anyway, I'm knitting this for her. And I think this time I did, and this is not actually finished yet. I've got to weave in my ends, and I've got to close some holes under the arm, but I wanted to wear it. So I did cuffs and a waistband. But I think on hers, I'm going to do more of the mohair edging to keep that fluff. She likes that.
It's really pretty.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then on top I've got the Balvonie bonnet, which is the same as this one here. This one's knitted in Biches Bûches, and this one's knitted in Jamieson and Smith. It's interesting. This one came out slightly bigger, so a slightly bigger gauge, even though I knitted them with the same needles. And this one feels more dense.
Yeah, that one feels really light.
Yeah, this one's really light, but it's so cute. Let me see if I can find. I'm looking for the join so I don't put that right in front of me. There we go. Cute. So cute. Adorable. So yeah, this is really comfy, and I'm wearing it a little bit slouchy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That looks so cute on you. You look like you need to be driving a car that's from the 1920s. So yeah, this is the Balvonie bonnet. It's a tam really with color work, but it's just 2 colors, and then you can see inside.
So this one's JNS, right?
That one's Jamieson and Smith, yep, 2-ply jumper weight. And this one's Biches Bûches Le Petite lamb's wool. And they're just really very quick to knit, actually. Managed to get this done fairly fast. And this is my first time knitting with Biches Bûches, and I enjoyed it. It was good. And I think it gives you a nice finished object.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are pretty.
Yeah. But I love Jamieson and Smith. You just can't beat Jamieson and Smith either. So yes, the Balvonie bonnet is a free pattern if you are joining us on our KAL.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time ever, we're asking people to sign up to join us in the KAL, and we will be letting you know where to do that. It'll be right on the shop website though. And when you sign up, that's you entering into the KAL with us, and there will be prizes and lots of good stuff like that. So be sure to sign up to knit with us. You will get your free pattern upon doing that automatically. It'll be a digital download. Mm-hmm. Anything else about that? Should we talk about the KAL? Yeah, let's talk about the KAL. So we have our Colorwork accessory KAL starting on February 18th, which is not long, about 3 weeks from when you see this. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so you can knit any Colorwork accessory pattern of your choosing using any yarn of your choosing. So you can either certainly buy a new kit, or you can go stash diving and play along that way too. All are welcome.
It doesn't have to be yarn that we sell, that you bought. You know, it could be yarn you bought somewhere else. We just want to knit along together.
And I think it's a great opportunity if you've been thinking about doing Colorwork to jump on in. I am seeing people saying that they've never knit Colorwork before.
This is a great place to start because you will be in with the best community. I think we've already mentioned that you will be knitting along with some wonderful knitters who are very generous and will help you if you get stuck on something. I wanted to show you a couple of things that would be good for beginners. This is from the, oh my gosh, now I'm blanking.
It's the Swedish.
Maja? Is it Swedish?
Maja
Swedish mittens. I knitted these in Let Lopi from a book that we do sell. We'll put it here. And this would be a good beginner project because it's thicker yarn. So these are in Let Lopi, and they're super warm and fun to wear. Sorry.
That's okay.
This is the Bobble Hat by Donna Smith. I knitted this in Let Lopi as well. So I just found these and thought that these would be good to show you. I love the Bobble Hat.
I
knitted this a few times. Oh, and then you've got the Bousta beanie.
Yeah, I grabbed this morning because I thought it'd be a good one to show for our first knit. And I used JNS.
Yeah, which is what it calls for. And this is such a great beginner pattern. It is thinner yarn, but I really like your colors. I don't remember seeing this. It kind of goes with this. May I?
Yeah, go ahead.
So,
oh, that's cute.
Yeah. So what's nice about this is you're not having to catch any floats, which makes it very beginner friendly. Although it is on thinner yarn, which, could be intimidating, but
if you're used to knitting with thinner yarn and you're just learning color work, it's great because it's a really repetitive pattern. It's easy to learn. You're switching colors, but not very often.
Nope. Only 2 colors at a time, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just a fun.
That's really nice. Do you know what? I did knit, but I gave them away.
Wow.
Gosh.
They're
Gotta
so
stop
nice.
doing that. I know. Yeah, so anyway, back to the KAL. It starts on February 18th.
And it goes till March 18th, so it's a 4-week KAL.
4-week KAL. It starts on a Friday, and we're going to do a Facebook Live, which we did a couple of weeks ago. We did our
really
very
well.
first time we did it. It was really enjoyable. So we figure we will host it there, which is nice. It's interactive, and we can all cast on together. Or, you know, you just have to cast on that day. You don't have to actually cast on when I cast on.
Yes. There is also a chat thread going in our Ravelry group.
Yes.
So
Yep.
you can knit with us in either place
Or both,
chat in both
or-
places. We know that some people are not on Facebook. We have up until now we have we have 2 thriving groups, and they are wonderful. There is
Yes.
overlap. Some people are in both.
Yep.
And every other KAL thus far has been hosted on Ravelry, so it's the first time we're trying one on
Yeah, and-
Facebook.
You know, it helps us connect with you too, because we can do Facebook Lives and
Yeah.
things like that. And it is a very fast growing group over in Facebook.
Yeah.
So we want to try hosting a KAL there. We've never done it before, but we will still be popping in and spending time in Ravelry as well. So fear not, either place is fine. But wherever you decide to interact with us, do sign up for the KAL so that you get the free hat pattern.
Yes.
Okay, so what else do we want to say? What kind of things can people knit?
So they can knit hats, mittens, cowls, shawls, if there's a colorwork shawl that you want to knit.
Not just stripes though, it's actual, you know, stranded or entrelac or mosaic or what's the other one I'm thinking of? Intarsia. Oh yeah, savory knittings, flowery shawl.
I think
is
that's
really nice.
mosaic.
Is that mosaic?
Pressed flowers.
I have to check that out.
Yeah.
It looks really nice.
That looks like a fun one.
Yeah.
So, and crocheters are welcome as
Of
well.
course.
If you want to do a crochet color work, there's a lot of stunning patterns for crochet color work.
Yeah.
Welcome to join us.
Yep, for sure. And it's any weight of wool. You know, it's whatever you want to knit that is color work and an accessory. So socks would also be included. We just ask that, you know, it's mostly color work and not just a couple of
Right.
rows.
It's one thing if there's, you know, a brim to get started or cuffs, but we want you to really kind of push and do all over color.
Yeah. So if you're a new knitter, you know, something like this might be really good because it's thicker yarn. It'll get you finished faster, but you will really learn the skill much more than knitting a whole, just one color and just one round of thingies. So,
yeah.
You know, go for it. Go for it. We're all here cheering each other on, which is lovely. We have lots of suggestions for things to knit, and you know, you will have seen this. My daughter was wearing this too, and it's very, very pink, and it's from Fair Isle Weekend, which is MJ Mucklestone's book from when she went to Fair Isle. And I love this book. Actually, there's lots of really nice designs in there. We will have yarn sets for this again, hopefully right around the time this goes live, but maybe a couple of days later. We're waiting for our order from Jamieson and Smith to arrive, and then there'll be yarn sets in this. We might be really low or out of stock of the books, but there's more of those coming too, and they're actually purchased separately. So if you have this already, you can get the kit, or you might have to wait to get the book a little bit, but really lovely. I enjoyed that knit a lot. That was fun. Other things, just for inspiration.
Yeah.
These are mittens from Latvia, Code of Knitting.
Code of Mittens?
Code of Mittens.
I think
Code
it's
of Mittens, yes. Code of Mittens knitted these, and I bought them from her Etsy shop. These are Latvian mittens, which are knitted on teeny tiny needles with teeny tiny yarn.
They're so pretty.
They're so pretty, and her Instagram feed is just beautiful. It's all mittens all the time, and I just had to have these. Aren't they lovely? And of course, Latvian mitten, you might get rows where you're knitting 3 colors, and I just saw one here. So it goes red, blue, white. Yeah. So
Such even tension.
even tension, and of course you can't see, you know, where the thumb just blends right in.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a beautiful knitter, very talented, knitting a lot of very traditional designs. So check her out. She's awesome. We also have other things like the tapestry KAL. This would definitely work for anyone who wants to have a go. And what's nice about this, yes, it's long. You can do a single length if you wanted, but there's no shaping or anything to be had. It's just round and round and round,
Yep.
changing colors. So we have kits for these and for that, I believe. What do you have there, Maggie?
I have these are usually on the shelf. They are the Songbird mittens. Erica Hauser is the designer, and we will have kits for these coming up soon.
Yeah,
Or yarn sets. The kits don't include we call them a yarn set because they don't include the pattern.
Right.
You get the pattern directly from the designer.
See one?
But yeah.
Yeah, so I love these. These are knitted in Jamieson and Smith, and I knitted them a few years ago. My mum started knitting her pair a few years ago, and she just finished. She told me the other day when I was talking to her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, these are just so pretty, and she has some other lovely designs as well.
Yeah,
and I
she's
don't.
got the underwing.
Yeah, but she's got a new one as well with a little fox on it. It's adorable.
really
Do you see
cute.
that? She doesn't traditionally knit with woolly wool that we love, but her patterns really adapt well
Yeah.
with Jamieson and Smith. Just look at all this on this side too.
I love the detail in the cuff.
Yeah, and the cuff, yes.
So pretty.
Yeah, I love doing that that ribbing, or it's not really ribbing, it's all pearls. No, it's all knit stitches.
Yeah.
Really nice. Yep. And of course, these are my mitten blockers from Patricia of Knitography when she first brought those out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have yarn sets for these.
We'll have yarn sets for those, and we'll have a few other yarn sets that use JNS. And then we also have we have a new mitten kit. This one comes with a Rauma Colorwork mitten booklet, and it has 6 patterns in here.
Really nice. These are knitted in Stricka-garn. Is it Stricka-garn or Strick-garn? I say Strick-garn, but I'm sure I'm wrong.
Strick-garn, but
I know
we should ask.
those are
We
pretty.
have a new co-worker at the shop who speaks Norwegian.
Yes,
We should have asked.
we
her.
will ask her. So these are knitted in DK weight. So a nice quick knit, definitely, and you get several patterns.
Yeah.
And
So with this kit, we put together enough yarn to make 2 different mittens using colors that were recommended for the patterns. And you get a tote, and you get a cute little Katrinkled woolly thistle. Woolly thistle stitch marker. That was hard to say.
Right, and these have been selling really well. So it's a lovely, you get more than just one mittens worth, which is nice. Yeah. And while we're talking, we can put some photos up of other yarn sets. Like we have, and it might be out of stock, but it'll be coming back in, the Ecclefechan mittens from Kate Davies. I knitted those years ago, and they are super popular, and they're knitted in Jamieson Smith Heritage black and white, which is just lovely.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what else we have coming. The Hool Hat by Ella Gordon.
Right. Where did my little
and there's a couple of kits from patterns from Gudrun Johnston. So we will put the photos up there with the names of them. And
look, this goes too. I love this.
You're consistent in the colors you like.
I guess I am. Who knew? So this is the crofter. No, what you call it? The wee. No, not croft. Yeah, the wee croft.
Croft
House. That's right, Croft House. The Ella Garden.
Took us a while when we got there.
I know. Crofty hoosey bit. So this again is knitted in Jamieson Smith, and this was her Shetland Wool Week patron design, which I love.
Yeah.
Love. All right. So there's no shortage of things to knit. And if you have a pattern that you've been wanting to knit for ages, now's your chance. Come knit with us. We can't wait. And we'll be casting on in about 3 weeks.
Yep.
So you got plenty of time to get your ducks in a row, and we'll see you there. Right.
Yeah.
What else do we want to talk about? Oh,
I had a bit more knitting.
Oh my gosh!
I have a bit more knitting.
Let's
we
go.
like completely segued on, but I gotta show you.
Let's steer us back.
I gotta show you.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to knit a little gnome or a big gnome.
A big gnome. Oh my hat.
You know, so he's made out of almost entirely out of hand spun, combination of mine and some from a friend. So the hat
I
was
love it.
from friend Allison, and I put some mohair in the beard.
It's so good. It's so
and
good.
The mohair is the only part that's not hand spun.
Yeah.
And then actually the bottom is John Urban Jacob that I spun into a 3-ply.
Nice.
And so
he is
weights.
adorable.
I just thought he was so cute.
He is adorable, and his little nose peeking out.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
So
how long did that take to knit?
Couple hours.
Stop it.
I mean, because it's bulky, so it just kind of happens. You know, like you're just knitting. You start at the hat and kind of.
I'm inspired.
I
want to knit.
So I shared that I was knitting, and then I've been holding back on Instagram sharing him.
I did see that you had started.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It goes really fast. It's bulky.
Yeah.
I did it on a size 6 because I wanted the fabric nice
to be
and
tight. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just goes fast.
He is so cute.
Yes, and apparently somebody in the group mentioned, or Francesca commented on my post and said, "Are you doing the Year of Gnomes?" And I said, "Yes."
What is it? Year of Gnomes?
Yes. What is it? So, and I looked, and it's Imagined Landscapes who does the patterns. She's got all kinds of gnome patterns too. I only have a few of them, but that may grow. And it's a year-long KAL.
So they come the holidays next year. You're going to have a whole
so you can knit like one a month. I'm not gonna. I probably don't have all the details right, but you can knit as many as you want. You can knit one a month, or you can knit just one.
I consider myself very lucky that I have one of your gnomes. He's maybe this big.
He's not this big. This is definitely the biggest one so far.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
So far.
I love him. And his hat is just the perfect color. He's, very
really
icy
cute.
and wintry. Oh, well done, Maggie.
So, there we go.
He might get kidnapped.
I know. He'll probably live on my desk for a little while. Although Irene really liked him, so.
Oh yeah, your youngest.
He'll have to come home.
Yeah. Okay, so are you done showing us your knits, or is there more?
I mean,
there's more.
I have that.
Come on.
There's one more. So I've still been working on the Plodulopy sweater.
Right. This is going to be so warm.
It is going to be so warm. And I'm almost done. I got distracted by the gnome. Otherwise, it would have been done. So I finished one sleeve. And I started with the tulip sweater pattern by Melody Hoffman.
Yeah.
Hers has like a lovely finished edge. I used all the raglan shaping and the gauge from that sweater. And then I just marled the colors.
And I forget, does her tulip pattern use Plodulopy? Or something else?
It does. It uses, I think, one strand of Plodulopy. You can either do one strand of Plodulopy with mohair, or you can knit it double.
Right, and that's what you're doing.
And she gives you the instruction, and
It's lovely, and I love that you're marling it through the color changes. It's going to be so nice.
Yes, and I had knit her Ito shawl. And I had leftover yarn, and so that's how this started.
And unfortunately, the folks at Lopi are having trouble getting their yarn.
Oh, we just had a few.
But we didn't get any of these colors.
We did.
We did?
We had it was a handful of kits, so we didn't shout about it.
Okay.
But if you were on the restock notice, you would have gotten an email that they came in. So always get on that restock.
Yeah.
If it's something you really want. Because we've still had trouble.
Yeah.
We weren't able to get a ton. And I don't remember which.
I think they're sold out again by the,
Yeah, because there weren't that many.
Okay. All right. So, that's good to know.
So next time I can hopefully be wearing this one.
Nice. I would be so warm in that.
I know.
This is really warm though with the extra mohair in it. It just, I don't know, it's trapping air. This is a woolen spun wool anyway, and it's really nice. And I would totally wear this next to skin.
I think I probably could too.
Yeah.
Maybe with a tank top or something. But.
Maybe, but I think I will.
Yeah.
All right. So are we done?
That's it. That's all I have for knitting.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Good. Emma of Tiny Desk Knits is here with another episode.
Yeah.
And what is she talking about, Maggie?
So she's talking about, we asked her to do a little sampling for us, and we sent her some Uradale. And so she's going to share with us what that was like knitting with it.
Yeah.
And what she did with it.
Yeah, and when she comes back, we have the samples here, so we'll be able to show you them too. Yep. Uradale, we are now the U.S. retailer So this is where you can get it if you're stateside or in Canada. And we are very happy about that. And we will have it coming to the shop very soon. So we did ask Emma to knit some stuff. So let's go and see Emma, and we'll see you back here afterwards.
Yeah.
Hi Thistlers! My name's Emma, and I host a YouTube channel called Tiny Desk Knitting about Fair Isle knitting and some other things. But it's mostly about Fair Isle. And today I'm here to talk to you about 2 samples I just knit for the Woolly Thistle out of a very special yarn. And I am wearing, by the way, the Dokey pullover by Gudrun Johnston, knit in Jagger spun, fingering weight in smoke. And then the yoke, the dark brown is the Hebridean Daughter of a Shepherd. It's called Heritage. If you got the selection box either last year or this year, you'll have had a skein of that in your box. And then the red is just some Knit Picks palette. And I thought the shade of red looked really nice with the brown and the gray. So I'm gonna talk to you about 2 samples, like I said, that I knit with Uradale Yarn from Shetland. So Uradale Yarn is, it's a very special kind of small batch Shetland wool that comes in both dyed and undyed colors, and both are featured in this. So here are some of the examples of colors. This is a kind of a light fawn undyed color. Here's the Shetland black that's also undyed. You can see those up close. Oh yeah. Very yummy, very woolly. And the dyed colors are, got this purple. There's many more. These are just the ones that I used. We've got a kind of dark gold. We've got a bright gold. Oh, that's gonna fall. It's balancing. And we've got a dark blue. So I used all 6 colors in my set of samples. First one is this Decrofter's Cap. Decrofter's Cap is by Wilma Malcolmson. It's a free pattern on shetlandwoolweek.com, or you can search it on Ravelry, and Ravelry will take you to the website where you can download it for free. It was the hat pattern for Virtual Shetland Wool Week 2021. So if you look up close, I've used all the colors. I've used the dark blue here, I've used the purple, dark gold, and then I've used the bright gold and Shetland black together there, and then in the middle I've used the blue again. So, and then I've did the same thing for the crown. The colors are laid out really specifically in the pattern. You can obviously do whatever you want with those, but I followed the color instructions in terms of, like, I decided which color was gonna be A, B, C, D, E, and F. And I followed the guidelines for that. One thing I did that I wasn't sure how the colors would all kind of play together before I knit with them. So one thing I did was, this is also not in the pattern. In the pattern there's a corrugated ribbed brim, but you do 3 colors, or 3 rounds with one color, 4 rounds with another color, and then 3 rounds with a third color. And here I used all 5. So you can see I used purple, bright gold, Shetland black, dark blue, and then the dark gold. And I did that because I wanted to see how the colors actually looked next to each other. And that was a really useful trick, because what I learned from that was that, and I should have figured this out before, but I didn't, because I wasn't thinking about how they would play together, was that this blue is really different from these 3, which are all kind of warm. So I had the cool, and then I had the warms. And I figured that out when I was actually knitting that brim, because I was looking at the blue in contrast with the other colors. So based on that realization, I decided to make the blue the Peries, and then do this whole XO pattern in the warm palette, except that pop of blue in the middle. And although the actual tint or tone, you know, if you took a picture of all these and put it in black and white, you wouldn't notice a huge difference. That's what I'm talking about. But because the blue is such a cool color, there's no warm tones at all in that blue. It's blue dyed on gray. It stands out really obviously against the rest of these colors, which is really cool. And then I also really like the way that the bright gold plays against the dark gold. So you can see here I've used the dark gold as my second color of the pattern color of the XO motif. OXO, you could say that too. And then the bright gold becomes the background color in the next round. So the golds butt up against each other, but one's the pattern color and one's the background color, which is really cool. And it really kind of softens this effect. But you can still see that the X and the O pretty clearly because the Shetland black and the blue really help that to stand out against the gold background. And then you can see how that works here too. The star doesn't get lost at all when you switch the background color to the gold because the Shetland black stands out so much. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. This is just a styrofoam head that doesn't have a nose, so I call it Voldemort. Yeah, somebody gave it to me. I don't know where you can get one, but I do like it for modeling my heads. Okay, so the other thing that I made with the rest of this yarn were two little mitts. These are called Damerkin mitts, and you can find this pattern in Shetland Wool Adventures Journal, Volume 1. It's the first pattern in that journal. So you can get that book at the Woolly Thistle when they've got it in stock, although they tend to do small print runs over at Shetland Wool Adventures Journal, so might be a while, but I think she's continuing to do print runs of her back issues. Misa Hay, the woman who publishes that. So these little cuffs are a great option if you've got like, this is something that you would normally make your background color say. So for instance here, I had 50 grams of this, but I didn't use 50 grams of this wool for just the oatmeal color in the hat. I had plenty left over, but I needed a little bit more than 25 grams. So you do need more than one ball of background color to make your crofters, depending on your gauge. You might, if you knit really tight, you might not quite need the 25 grams, but to be safe, you want to have 50 grams for that. And so let's say you've got some left. You do not have enough for it to be the background color of these cuffs, but you do have enough for it to be the pattern color, and then you can fade the background color, which is what I've done here. And I love the effect. I think it looks really cool. So the way these are constructed is that you knit this cuff first. It's a double cuff. So you knit the cuff, then you turn the whole thing inside out, and you knit the ribbing that's concealed that goes inside the cuff. That just keeps your wrists extra toasty. Then you knit the hand, and here you just kind of do a little increased thumb gusset, and then it will tell you to put those stitches on hold or knit a piece of waste yarn in, more likely, right here, but I did it a little bit longer because I wanted it to come up a little higher on my thumb. I will put it on so you can see. Oops, this side. Yeah, so got your cuff, double layer, and then you knit a little bit of ribbing at the end to cover more of your thumb. And this is really adjustable. Like you can make that come all the way up. I don't like it to come up past my second thumb knuckle. So I tend to do my fingerless mitts just to there. And yeah, so I've done the same, I did the same color placement here. So I did blue for the outsides, and then I went to the purple, dark gold, light gold, and Shetland black. And because none of these were like a really big pop of color, I thought I would do the Shetland black as the pop because it would stand out, and it does. I also did the little wrist motif in Shetland black. And I did the first few rounds of ribbing in the Shetland black and then switched to the blue just so that I would be utilizing as much, or I wouldn't be worried about running out, I guess. So yeah, these are little cuffs, super cozy, very soft. I will say this yarn is already pretty soft, especially the dyed colors. If you're familiar with Jamieson and Smith yarns and you've used their cones before, you will be familiar with the kind of like slightly slicked down yarn because it's under processed, because it hasn't been washed as much. The oil hasn't been washed out. These ones don't have spinning oil on them, but because the dyed colors have to go through another process with water, they puff up a little bit more, and they come out more like the yarn comes out when it's blocked. Whereas these ones, you'll notice a difference in the undyed. You'll notice a difference in softness after you block it. So when you block it, the yarns behave the same, and pre-blocking, the dyed colors feel a little softer. So one of the reasons I switched to the blue a little earlier was just so that the blue would be more on your skin, because it felt softer to me when I was knitting it, although in the end the Shetland black's pretty much just as soft. So they're all comfortable. Accessories like this are super warm because you're knitting it at a pretty tight Fair Isle gauge, and it's stranded knitting. So you're getting a double thickness, like you can see inside here. If you've ever knit Colorwork, you know it's double thick. I love the inside of Colorwork. It's so funky. So interesting. Yeah, so you're getting a double thick fabric anyway, even though, yeah, I'll put this on, there we go. Even though the wool seems really thin, you know, it's jumper weight wool, but it needs to be thin so that the color patterns can pop, so you can really get really clean edges. And that's one of the delights about Shetland jumper weight wool, is how clean those edges can be. So this, yeah, the Crafter's Cap, I find it to be like a pretty much perfect fit if I use the size needle that gives me the correct gauge. And I'm a loose knitter, so I use a US 2 for Fair Isle. It gives me between 30 and 31 stitches over 4 inches, which is what I like. If I want 32 stitches over 4 inches, I have to go down to a 1.5 because I'm a loose knitter. So yeah, that's a little primer on Uradale yarns, fun patterns for Shetland wool. I would say that if you got the like any of the Jamieson and Smith grab bags, this pattern's a really good idea because it wouldn't use a whole ball of anything. Like I said, if you've got your leftovers from a Crafter's Cap, so this was a 50-gram ball. I used it for this, and I used it for the pattern color for this, and there's still some left over. I do recommend a kitchen scale if you're going to be doing a lot of Fair Isle knitting, because especially a very precise one, because it will tell you how much you have left, and then you can measure after each project and figure out how much you used, which is kind of fun. So, and then you can, so that the next time you knit that project, you can say, oh, I have plenty to use this as color B of the Crafter's Cap, for instance. So keeping notes is really useful for something like this. So for instance, I have a whole page of notes on how much of each exactly of each of these that were used. So yeah, that's fun. I don't think any of the colors into Crafter's Cap were more than, like, I don't think more than 5 grams were used for any of them, which is pretty amazing, because if you think about how a ball of Jamieson and Smith is 25 grams, that means you can use it in like same color in 5 projects, maybe more than 5 projects, if you're doing Fair Isle where you're changing colors a lot. So that's pretty cool. And TWT does sometimes get Uradale yarns. So if you want to hear about all that news, you have to subscribe to the newsletter and watch the Shopcast. But the newsletter is great because it will tell you what time things are going on sale. And then you can sign up to get notified. So I would really recommend trying this yarn out. It is so soft. If you like Shetland wool, it will not disappoint. So yeah, these are some little samples that are, by the time you're watching this, probably already at the Woolly Thistle or on their way. And thanks so much for watching.
Thank you, Emma, so much. That was really awesome. Isn't she amazing with her knitting? So do you want to show?
I do, yeah. So they came in the mail the other day, and here, I don't know if you want to show the hats. I'll put the mitts on.
I'll put the hat on.
Her knitting is so pretty and even. And
yep.
I love how she chose, like, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, but the cool versus the warm.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that.
I hadn't either.
Always learning.
And everything looks very well balanced,
yep.
like color-wise.
Yep.
And I love that she sort of tested the colors.
In the brim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's genius.
Yeah, very clever. So we can all learn that is a good, because you do look at things in black and white, and if they're all very similar, then, but yeah, now you can have a secondary sort of sorting between warm and cool. So I like that a lot.
Yeah.
This feels very nice. This feels very nice.
It does. It does.
It's
I
not
had it
itchy.
on in my office one day.
So this is Shetland wool from native Shetland sheep on Ronnie's farm, Uradale. It's very
And
soft.
it is a worsted spun prep, which I think
Yes.
Emma said, as opposed to a woolen prep.
And we actually talked to Ronnie, and we have an interview with him, but that's coming in the next episode where we'll talk a lot more. But Maggie, you wanted to show off a cone?
I do, because we have, so it arrives to us here on cones. So we recently received our latest shipment, and then what we have to do is turn the cones into little cakes.
25 gram, because this is literally like gold.
It is. So we will not be selling the cones.
Yeah.
We spin it down.
We spin it down into manageable little 25 gram cakes.
Yeah.
Which is the way to do it, because then you can get all
Yeah.
the colors, and there are plenty of colors, and there's plenty of choice in the naturals as well.
Yeah.
And it's lovely.
It really is.
And we're getting both 4-ply and DK.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the DK,
Yeah.
I pulled a DK cone and it's
Look at the size of that.
It's just amazing.
Oh. It feels really good.
It does.
It feels really nice.
So
These colors are great too. This is spun in New Lanark, which is a historical mill, is a national landmark of Scotland. And I think next time I go home, I'm going to have to go there. I want to go to there. Yeah. Oh,
I think you're going to need me to go with you.
I think so. I thought, ooh, that would be fun. That would be so fun. Call it work.
Oh, my husband, I've got to work.
Yeah, I've got to work.
Scotland, sorry.
Yes. Got to go visit some farmers and
That would
mills.
be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go see Ronnie's farm.
Yeah, definitely. We'll go top to
We'll
bottom.
just invite ourselves. Yeah.
So yeah, lots of this to come, and we're very excited about it. And thank you, Ronnie, for working with us and letting us sell your beautiful
So there will
yarn.
be more information about Uradale.
There will. But thank you, Emma, too, for knitting this up. She's a fan. She loves this.
Yes.
And she's a very good knitter.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Lots of good stuff there.
Wonderful.
All right. So what else do we want to talk about? Oh, let's give away a prize.
Okay.
Then we can talk about what's new in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to go to my interview with Kristin Drysdale, who is Scandiwork, and I'm sure many of you know her. She's had a few designs in Lina, and she is just out with a brand new book that just launched this week. So we have that here, and we'll be talking to her. So, winner.
Prize winner.
Okay, so Drea, congratulations. You wrote, again, thank you for the Shopcast. Love the tam, looked lovely on your daughter. Beautiful. Love all the Norwegian love this week. Maggie, I am so proud of you, and your sweater is amazing. You are such an inspiration, as I remember how you went through frogging it and starting it over. I can't wait to see it finished and on you. I hope you're watching, Drea.
I know.
Congrats to Rachel. What an amazing experience. And we haven't even mentioned Rachel. Oh my gosh.
I know.
We all agree she should have won.
She should have won.
She should have won. It was phenomenal.
I will say, I saw quite a few comments about how did she knit that in a week, and I believe she machine knit
Machine.
it.
Yeah, for sure. That's yeah.
Yeah.
But really, really great. And just such an adventure coming from the northernmost place in the UK, going all the way down to London, and like basically presenting to Vogue and Barber.
I know.
I don't know how she held it together.
I don't know.
She looked in her element though.
Yeah.
And
It was amazing.
I think she is a winner. I mean, she is totally a winner for getting that far. Just amazing. And congrats to the one that did take the prize. But I think I'm so proud, and I'm really, really happy that Rachel sends us her videos and is in touch, because that way you get to see a little bit about what life is like on the island. She does produce her own yarn. So she is a crofter, and she is living that life that I know I dream about quite a lot, but I think the realities of it.
I don't think I could hack it.
No, right.
I
Exactly.
don't
I think
think I
it
could.
takes a certain amount of willingness to be cold and windy, and also isolated. There's not many people on Fair Isle. So
Right.
but she does an amazing job, and she plays the organ for church on Sundays. And so, Rachel, if you're watching this, thank you so much. We're all so proud of you and your achievements, and we just love working with you. So thank you for contributing. And she'll be back with us probably in the next episode, I would guess.
I would guess.
Yeah. She has to send in her dispatches, her videos, which is great. Okay, so we announced the winner. Oh, Drea, send us an email to info@thewoollythistle, put winner in capitals, and we'll get you that $25 gift card out to you right away. And what are we going to do now? We're going to talk about what's in the shop?
I think we should talk about what's in the shop, but if we could do, somebody asked a favor about the little pillow that's always on the shelf, that they wanted to see both sides. And I think I forgot to do it last week. So I wanted to show both sides.
This is Jamieson and Smith 2-ply, and you could definitely knit this with your grab bag when that was available. Basically, this is knitted, and of course, this is little tiny granny squares that I crocheted and sewed together, because I don't know how to join granny squares by crochet. See, I sewed them.
Okay.
It's a skill I don't know, and I would need to learn. But anyway. This is a mitered square, and it's also stuffed with roving from a sheep that I bought the fleece for and I washed. That's as far as my spinning career went. I washed a fleece. I've also sheared a sheep on Fair Isle by hand. That took a while. Yeah, and I was terrified I was going to nick the skin.
Oh,
and
poor baby.
David kept saying, you got to go further towards the skin, and I'm like, nope, we're just going to give it a trim up here. It was terrifying. Anyway, so yes, if you wanted to see this is this. Really good for busting stash. This is not an accessory. I was going to say, could you knit this?
No.
As part? No, I don't think so. Unless, what about the crochet part?
I don't know, because you're not even the crochet part. You're only doing one color.
You're only doing one color at a time. Maggie, you're right. So
no, you can't do that.
Right. And you can't wear this, so it's not really an accessory.
Right.
All right. Okay, so let's talk about what's in the shop.
Yeah.
Where do we want to start? Do you want to start with books or
Well,
bits and
this
bobs?
is just we have 2 little bits and bobs.
Okay. Sure. You go first.
So this we've added to the shop. This is a measuring tape from the Knitting Barber.
Yeah, it's a lovely leather, rustic.
Cute little.
You can attach that to your project bag.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's really nice. She just came out with these, so we are getting a few in. I don't know if they'll be in the shop by the time you see this.
They should be.
They should be.
Yeah.
All right. So that's that. And also we put together a little stitch marker set. And this is Thinking of Spring. Our holiday stitch markers did so well that we decided let's do some more. And so we have some here. I think you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 charms, and they're all thinking of spring. So this one is a little flower. Oh, it's nice. It's on both sides. And here, you want to take some?
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
I dropped him.
This is a little Tweety bird.
He went in my boot.
Oh no. A little butterfly. Go ahead.
This one is a little hummingbird.
He's adorable.
He is so adorable.
This is a little butterfly. I need to do this left-handed, I think. Pretty.
This one, at first we were calling it a rose, but it's actually a succulent.
Oh, succulent.
But it's really cute.
I think this is a 4-leaf clover. It's a little flowery thing. So we have these in the shop. It's nice to get that many little charms, and we got little stickers made for our tin. You get all of that. So that'll be in the shop too. I'm excited about the Knitting Barber. Oh, and we just got stocked up with more Knitting Barber cords. Oh, I wanted to say, look, on here,
Oh yeah.
I have my sleeves and my waistband
Blocking it.
on there. And this is just such a great little invention. And I think the best inventions are the ones where you go, duh, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
It's so elegant and simple, but very, very useful. I actually now have maybe 3 sets in my in my stash, because you can take things, put them on. Very, very easy to use. And somebody, I think, might have left a review saying that she found it difficult to put the stitches back on the needle.
Oh.
But I think you might have been pushing the needle in. What you need to do is pull the cord, and the needle will just, so you can't push it in.
Right.
It needs to be pulled in.
Yeah.
So anyway, for what that's worth, I think I found it very easy, even with the yarns that we use. So
Yeah. Did you find it easy even with the mohair,
Mhm.
like holding a strand of?
yeah.
Like 2 strands of it or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, I mean, you know, 1 or 2 got caught, but for the most part, your stitches, you know, are staying the same size.
Yeah.
And if you're just gentle enough and pull it through, very quick, and
Okay.
I love it. So we just got stocked up with those 2, so those should be in the shop. All right, shall we talk about books?
Yeah, let's do this one last. But
This
one, we got the latest issue of Fair magazine. This is
Gorgeous.
issue 4.
matches me.
Very purple. And it's just a beautiful magazine.
Look at
Just a feast for the eyes.
it really is.
If
Beautiful.
you enjoy reading about creative life, creative processes.
Yes, this is not a knitting magazine. This is a more crafting and sort of professional crafting in a way. These
Quilting.
people, these people make their
covers
living through their craft from all over the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Baking.
gorgeous. Yep.
Just baking, cooking.
And the photos are just gorgeous. Ruth is an Irish lady who lives in France, and she is
Ooh.
the creative mind behind all of this.
Ooh. Some textiles.
There is always something textile-y for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, and so that's the 4th issue, and so we're keeping all the issues in stock. That's number.
That was 1.
That was issue 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look at all that yarn.
Yeah.
And look at what she's making. So we have issue 1, 2. Oh, just love that.
I like the back cover on that one too.
Yes.
All these flowers.
And 3. I certainly keep a copy of this for myself
Yeah.
because it's just it's inspiring and it relaxes my mind in a way. It's just I mean, interiors, things like that. So very, very nice. So yep, 4 just came out and we have it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then also new in the shop is Making Magazine.
Stop it!
I know.
We definitely have to do something about this color.
We didn't even plan this.
No, we didn't. In the title has to, something about that.
Yeah.
So Making Magazine issue 12, that's their latest one. We decided to get some in, see if you're interested in
there
that.
are some really fun.
Of course, Susan B. Anderson is, I'm sure, responsible for that little.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just see it right away and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that's Susan. There are a lot of beautiful
Yes.
projects in this magazine.
Yes.
And it has, that's pretty.
Yeah.
It has knitting patterns. It has a couple of crochet patterns. It has sewing patterns.
Yep.
What
Oh,
is hat?
fluffy hat.
I know.
Yep. So this is a beautiful magazine to look at too.
Yeah.
And they have lots of different, not just knitting, but sewing
Yeah.
and different things. So
So
yep, that's good.
That's in the shop already.
Mhm.
And then one, we got it a little while ago, but I don't think we showed it because I think we were on our break. And it's Crochet Crush.
From Lina.
It's from Lina.
Mala
authors,
Mills.
Yes.
Sorry.
She's just
Stealing
so
the thunder.
And it has some really unique, bold
Yes.
crochet patterns.
Yes.
Yeah,
we want to be inclusive of crocheters for sure, and we don't do a whole lot, but when we have a no-brainer, for sure we try to get it in.
Yeah.
And
I love this.
if you would like us to stock anything that is crochet centric, please tell us.
Yeah.
You know, crochet is just so good for blankets. That's really nice. I like that.
It is. I used to crochet like almost exclusively.
It's how I got back into knitting. I was following crochet blogs and I was doing blankets for children, and but that invariably had me jump over to knitting blogs, and
For some things I still kind of prefer it. Like I'd prefer to crochet a blanket than knit a blanket.
Yeah. I don't know. I think crochet
I would
uses
just never finish the.
Yeah.
It would have to be a really big, bulky knit blanket.
Yes. Yes. So those are all the books. Oh, and then we have the Nordic Knitting Primer by Kristin Drysdale, who we'll be talking to in just a moment. But this is her book, is absolutely wonderful. She is of the mindset that a brand new knitter can knit color work, and that's what this book is all for. So she walks you through from very simple projects and plenty of sweaters in there too that a new knitter could knit, which is so exciting. So you can jump right over that boring scarf and start knitting color work.
I was reading the intro and she says that she started with color work.
She did.
Amazing.
She did.
I'm looking forward to seeing the interview.
Yes, it's a great interview. I know Kristin, we've known each other for quite a while, so it was really lovely to just sit down and chit chat with her. Here's a pretty picture of her daughter, and she's wearing her slippers. So there's a couple of patterns in there. I think all her children are in this book, and she's got a couple of grandkids as well. She's a young grandma for sure. So yeah, lots of lovely designs that are very accessible. And of course, the reason it's a primer is it tells you how to do things. So she starts with teaching you how to knit with your right hand and your left hand so that you can start to knit two-handed, doing color work. So really, really good lessons in here. And we're super excited to have this in the shop. And we'll be talking to her in just a minute. Okay, what else do we have that's new in the shop? Ha-ha! So excited. Let Lopi has been really difficult to get in many colors. And there's still a fair few colors sold out, but we did get a nice big order because they were able to restock us in several colors. So if you're interested in knitting anything with Let Lopi, go to the shop now because we don't know when we'll get more.
Yeah.
It seems to be a bit touch and go in terms of getting different colors. So we put in a nice big order and we should be fairly well stocked when you see this. So
people will have gotten their restock notification.
Right.
So if there is a color that you're looking for that unfortunately has sold out again or possibly didn't restock here, sign up for the back in stock notification.
Yeah, that's really easy to do. You just go to the product page. So you're in Let Lopi. You find the color you want and that it says sold out. Right underneath that there is notify me link. And you click on that, you put in your email address. And actually, I think we are hoping to change that to include your cell phone so that we can send out notices to your cell phone as soon as things go in that you're waiting for. So that's to come. But that's it. And very easy to do.
Yeah, especially with something like this, because when Let Lopi comes in, we just put it in the shop.
We do.
And we might shout about it, but...
no, this is sort of like a bread and butter.
It's a restock. So
yeah.
The best way to know for sure, the earliest, is that back and
be the first to know. Yeah. Yep. All right. Yeah, I think that's everything.
Yeah.
So let's go to my chat with Kristin Drysdale, who is Scandiwork, and she is going to be sharing all the projects out of her new book, her first book too. Very excited. I hope you enjoy this, and we will see you in a couple of weeks when we're back again with knitting shenanigans and different things. And have a good couple of weeks. We'll see you soon. If you go out,
take your knitting.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome, Kristin, to the podcast. It's really great to have you here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
And we've known each other for quite a few years, I would say. And I think that started way back when you had an ebook on slippers. Yes. And you reached out and sent me a copy of it. And I loved it. I think I was doing the audio podcast back then.
Oh, yeah. I think so. Yep.
And I knitted your slippers and loved them. And you have been very much part of my knitting world since then because I love what you do. And why don't you tell everybody what you do with your knitting and what gets you excited about knitting?
Okay, I mostly do Scandinavian or Nordic knitting, and I do that because it's my family heritage. So it's a way for me to connect with that. And I have I've gone a step further in that most of my designs have symbolism and meaning and messages for my family when I knit to them, where I knit for them. And so it's just, that's kind of my connection. So it's what I love to do and what I love to share with people that it's not hard. You can have years of experience before you can do it.
Right. I know. I think that's a misconception, and we'll talk about how you are remedying that with your book. But so where is your hereditary from, or Where is your family from originally?
Okay, so the biggest influence for me was my great grandpa was immigrated from Norway, and he was part of my life until I was 15 years old. So when you have a grandparent that's from Norway, it's just they become your kind of persona, no matter where anybody else is from. But then the rest of my ancestry is from Sweden and Denmark. So
all fairly represented,
yeah, a little bit from the UK. So I'm like 80% Scandinavian and 20% from the UK.
That's great. And where are you located now? Where are you working out of?
In Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City in Utah.
Yeah.
And
so I have interesting little, I think it's kind of unique that all of my ancestors that lived in America immigrated to Utah. So everybody, like, I can go to 2 cemeteries in Utah and have my entire family tree in the United States.
Wow.
So when I was little, my grandma would take us there and tell us stories about these people. So you grew up hearing stories about the old country, no doubt, or the old countries and the traditions there. Yes.
And did they was your grandmother a knitter? Did she do a lot of knitting?
Oh, isn't that terrible? So because it's my paternal, my link to Norway is paternal, right?
Right.
So my grandmother was a seamstress, and because she learned that from her mother, who was not Norwegian. She was I like had this quest that I wanted to learn this. I felt like it was missing in my craft. Like I started really young with needlework with my grandma and sewing, handwork, embroidery. But I was like, why don't we knit? This is so wrong.
So when did you pick up the needles and start knitting?
So I did, so I have this thing, one of my favorite things is languages too. So I studied German because I went to the University of Utah. That's the closest language to any Scandinavian language I could take. And I have one grandmother actually that was German. So it's like, there's the link. So I went to a study abroad in Kiel in northern Germany. And I'm like, this is almost Denmark. So close to Denmark. It's very far north in Germany. And so I went to Denmark and then I went to Norway. And when I went to Norway, I went to like bookstores, yarn stores. I didn't know how to knit. And I bought all these patterns in Norwegian. Like I didn't speak Norwegian. I mean, grandpa, it kind of makes me sad that generation was like, we're American. I want our children to be American. We don't want them handicapped by an accent, you know? So they were very strict about not speaking Norwegian in the home unless they wanted to keep a secret or something. So, then they would. So I always kind of felt like, I wish that I had learned that. I'm kind of sad that they handed down traditions of food, but not in language.
Right. Yeah.
But so I got all these patterns in Norwegian. So actually my first knitting language is Norwegian because the first patterns I worked from were Norwegian and German. Yeah, those were my, I didn't knit an English pattern until about 5 years ago.
That's incredible. And so nobody told you that you had to start with a scarf or anything like that?
No. So I came home and I stopped in Iceland. I bought a ton of yarn in Iceland. I didn't know how to knit. I'm like, okay, well, how hard could it be, you know? So I just came home. I went to a yarn store and she told me, I think that you would really like to learn to knit continentally, but I can't help you with that.
Huh.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So I learned how to knit continental from Elizabeth Zimmerman on PBS.
Right.
Back in the day. And this was before internet. So everything was like books and PBS. And I had to make an appointment because there was no way to record it. You know? So I take notes from Elizabeth Zimmerman. So I would, and then so I kind of learned the basics, and then I boldly, I was at the University of Utah and I enrolled in a class that was advanced knitting and sweater design. And they let me in. I don't know how they let me in, but they let me in. So really the first thing I knit was a sweater that I designed.
That's amazing.
Which was a backdoor in, and it was color work with a steek. So
wow. That's
kind of my-
amazing. Did you scare yourself once you realized what you were doing, or did you actually feel like it made sense to your brain and that you were knitting a series of tubes and knitting in the round? And
yeah, no, it just made sense, and it didn't seem hard. And I heard stories about Norwegians teaching kids to work with fauna, like first or knit a fauna because it's easy. And so the next thing I knit was like a super complicated boss pattern, and I bought that pattern in Salzburg. So I was going to the University of Salzburg, and my German probably wasn't. I don't know. They didn't think that I didn't know how to knit. It's just like, I want this yarn, I want this pattern. And, but I mean, I could knit at that point, but it was super complicated. I mean, that pattern's like different squares with different motifs. And then they don't stack on top of each other. They go diagonal. And I knit it back and forth because the pattern told me to. Yeah. So that was, but this is knitting. Like, this is the kind of knitting I want to do.
Yeah, I just have to figure it out. Yeah.
I think it was unique. And it's only now that like I'll have people that I'm teaching to knit go into the yarn stores and they'll say, you can't do that. This is your first project, or that's over your head. What are you doing that? I mean, there's some people that, where you really don't. Like, if you want to knit something, you can knit it.
You can get it. Well, that I think brings us nicely around to your book, which is the Nordic Knitting Primer. And you have just released this, and actually it launches this week, or it came out on Tuesday. Yeah. So this is a beautiful book. And I know that this has been a long time in the works and has been held up because of COVID. And you want to tell us a little about that?
Yes, it was like, for me, it was a really quick project because it was a project. So my deadline was incredibly short. Like, I had, they asked me to write the book, and then I came up with the idea for it. But from the moment I started knitting the projects to when it was done, it was like 3 months.
Oh, wow. You knitted everything in here. And did you knit everything yourself? Is that how you design?
Yeah. So when I design, like, I get the idea, I sketch, I do charts, I do numbers, and then I cast on. And then sometimes I change midway because I don't like something. But I had and maybe it was because I had this deadline. I had to do a project every 5 days. That was my schedule.
Oh.
Like, I had to design, knit, write the pattern, knit it, everything in 5 days. And so I was really lucky that the design stuck for the most part. I just like design it, knit it, write it. It was kind of crazy.
Tell us then about this book and who it's aimed at.
Okay, it's aimed at knitters that have basic skills. So you can knit, you can cast on, you can knit, and you can purl. But at the same time, I've had a guinea pig of a student, a friend of mine that has never knit before. I taught her how to knit with the first project, and then her next project was a sweater. So it's just jumped in. So she is working on Maja from chapter 1, and she is in the Colorwork section and is like, oh my gosh, I didn't know how to knit just a month, like 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
And now she's knitting a sweater.
And I have everything around me.
Well, why don't you show us? We'd love to see the real deal.
Well, this is the real deal. So the book starts with this. This is the idea. This is super simple, just a little fingerless knit. And you can think of what yarn would be like in your shop that would be the best for this, because I just picked something luxurious that would be fun to wear. To look at.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a tutorial because I'm all about like knitting and making it something you can wear, right away.
Yeah.
So on this, I teach you how to knit continentally, purl continentally, and knit by throwing, and purl with throwing.
Okay, so both ways.
Yes. So garter stitch has worked. So it's either knit on both sides or purl on both sides. So you can knit one and purl the next.
Yep.
And it's the same, ends up the same.
And I know from personal experience that by the time you finish a project like that, you're going to be proficient at knitting it that way.
Yes.
That's exactly what I did when I grew up throwing, and then I found out about continental, and I picked a pair of mittens, just plain mittens, but I knitted them continental, and never looked back after that. It just took.
Yeah, it just takes. Yeah. And so the thing that's great about it is I think some people that are proficient in knitting one way with one hand or the other, that they lean on that and then they'll learn to do a little bit.
Right.
That they just learn a little bit, but it's just, but if you do just this much, which is not a big deal,
Right.
it totally clicks. And then when you put two hands together, one in each hand,
Yep.
you're doing. And
Yeah.
I think, yeah,
Sorry, I was going to say, and you're more evenly distributed because you're done more than just a little bit to get by. So
yes. And even if it feels kind of awkward, whether your new way is throwing or whether your new way is continental,
yeah,
even if it feels awkward, when you put them together, it all works, which is great.
yeah,
So yeah, so it's just take the time, learn. You can teach someone to knit like this. It can be like your first knitting book. I'm actually starting a website this week. I'm launching a website.
Yep.
With the book.
Scandiwork.com.
Yes, Scandiwork.com. And I'll have, the only thing that's not in the book is on casting on. So I'll have a video tutorial on my favorite way to cast on.
Yeah.
And otherwise, everything in the book, like there's, I have the book here too.
Yeah.
There's step-by-step tutorials.
Yes. And they're beautifully photographed, really well lit, easy to follow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was a family project because we were in quarantine.
Oh my gosh. So this is all done in the, keeping it in the family.
And yeah, it happened that like the first, when I really started knitting for it was in March when we were totally shut down and my deadline was June 1st. So I used my kids for models. My husband did the photography. It was, we were in our own bubble making a book. So which was great. So the second chapter is just right into Colorwork. So every chapter has a tutorial.
Yeah.
And the tutorial is like the focus of that chapter. So when you're reading the book, read through, whether you do this project or another project, read through the tutorial and then it can apply to anything in that chapter.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And that is an amazing FO for someone, even if they know how to knit colorwork, it's really pretty, you know,
right?
I'd want to knit that.
Yeah, that was kind of my goal. My goal too was like, I want to knit a book that I want everything in the book.
Yeah.
Kind of my goal.
Yeah.
So this one is super soft, super cozy. It's a kind of a thicker yarn.
Yeah.
So if you're a beginner knitter, it's easier. My theory is that expertise comes more in size of yarn than color work. So like if you want to start with color work, which is not hard really.
Yeah.
It's not until you get like with teeny yarn that you have to be super efficient or
now, what is your main tip about knitting too tight? Because when I talk to people who are not, they're starting out at colorwork, they're always concerned that their floats aren't long enough. And how do you do that so that it doesn't all bunch up?
Okay, so this is the cool thing. In chapter 2, nothing has a float. And because the space is so short.
Right.
Right. Yeah,
great.
So that was kind of an interesting thing writing the book too. It's like, okay, chapter 1, nothing can have a float that catches.
Right.
So it's just straightforward knitting. You look on the chart, you knit what you see.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of easier. And then the next, catching floats. So we'll talk about catching floats when I get to that chapter.
Yeah. So starting without big long floats is definitely a good way to go. And maybe just every other stitch, it looks like you're changing color. There aren't really very many floats or anything that you have to catch. Yeah.
Elizabeth Zimmerman actually doesn't catch floats, or like in Knitting Without Tears, she doesn't like to catch floats, so she just avoids it.
Yeah.
Which this chapter does, which is kind of nice for it's mindless knitting. I mean, when you get proficient with floats, you catch and you don't even think about it.
Right.
But to begin with, it's kind of nice not to have to think about
it. It is nice. And, to be completely honest, when I catch floats, I sometimes see that contrast color poking through the stitch that I'm trying to just keep it behind. So depending on how long that float is, I might not catch it myself because I don't want to see that little pop of color.
In this chapter, there is, I have a pretty good way of not seeing this one has, this is the tutorial on catching floats. And I don't think you can see any floats. Any colors coming through. So there's a tutorial on catching floats,
Okay.
both for the contrasting color and for the main color.
Right.
So with
Okay,
both
so
sides.
you have a way of doing that takes care of that problem. So I'm going to check
Yes,
that out.
Yeah, and you can never catch your float in the same place. If you do, like on the same
Right.
stitch, it will show through for sure.
Right.
So you want to do that.
Yeah.
We're jumping up to the next chapter, but we're talking about this, so we're just going
Okay.
to go with it.
All right.
In this tutorial, I've done something that I've never done before, and on the pattern on the chart, I show you where I caught a float.
Ah, that's really helpful.
Yeah, like, so I made a little circle. There's a little circle on the diagram, like catch here, catch here.
I think that's really helpful because nobody ever talks about that. They never say where, they tell you, so many stitches, and then you have to remember to do it yourself, but you're prompting people to do
Yes.
that. Okay, so what is this sweater?
It's Linnea. It's
Linnea.
the second tutorial in
Okay.
chapter 3. So
Beautiful.
the first it's the first second color work piece, but it's in chapter 3, and
Okay.
it's one. So it has it tells you where to catch them. This one's top down, so you can jump into
Right on.
color work.
Yeah.
I am kind of a traditionalist, and I mostly knit bottom up.
All right.
Yeah. One of the things I like about bottom up for beginner knitters is that, like, if you're starting with a sweater, like I'm all about starting with a sweater. And if you start with a sweater, this one is in chapter 1, so you don't have to catch any floats in this one. If you start with this one,
Mhm.
you cast it down here, and you have a lot of knitting to do
You
for a
do.
new, so you
Right.
can become efficient with knitting and comfortable with knitting.
Yeah.
Then you could do the sleeve, and you could, if you wanted to, you could do the sleeves with the opposite hand, so that you're
Aha.
becoming
Yeah.
this knitter.
Yeah.
And then you have this all at the top, and then you just hit the color work, and you'll be
That is-
comfortable with using buttons.
Yeah, it's like a crescendo, you're getting all your basics and practice, and then you bring it all together and you finish, and then you finish. I mean, you're actually going to finish that. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Brilliant.
And it's with fat yarn, so it goes quickly. You
Mhm.
could do this. This is with Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, but you could use a Lopi,
Yep.
or I think Tuku DK
Yep.
would be great.
That would be great. Yep.
Yeah.
Or even
Yeah.
Rauma Strickgarn even.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Just, okay, we have to talk about gauge.
Yeah.
Gauge, people are crazy about swatching and think it's like a pain. I think that's true, because I talk to a lot of knitters, but they have to take into consideration that this is making it the size you want it to be.
Right.
For me, the gauge swatching, the swatching is the ballpark. Like,
Mhm.
that's not the end all, because there are so many things while you knit that can change your gauge, whether it's changing needles. Like, did you know, nobody knows this, so maybe you do, maybe you don't.
I don't know.
I didn't discover this until Merit in Lane magazine,
Yeah.
but I have it, this one. Every
Oh,
single
look
one.
at, oh, there it is. You were
Yes.
wearing this at EYF when I met you, I think.
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
I was.
It's
Met on the
beautiful. So tell us this thing that we don't know about needles.
Just something that you don't know. Every single one of my test knitters used a different size needle for the sleeves than the body. Because when you go from a big
Yep.
circular needle to
Yep.
a small needle, or if you're doing magic loop, it does all crazy things to your gauge, but even going just to a smaller, like,
Yeah. Circumference, yep. Cable.
like
Yeah.
a 16, or if you go to DPNs, your gauge is going to be completely different.
Interesting.
So every single knitter to get this, the same gauge as this,
Change.
use a different size.
Huh.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's fascinating. And I wonder,
Now go around and measure everything and see if your
Yeah.
gauge was on your sleeves than your body.
yeah. Well, I have had it happen where I've got gauge, and by the time I finish something, it's at a totally different gauge, and maybe that's part of it. Because I'll often use a sleeve as my gauge swatch,
Yeah.
Think, okay, that's what I'm doing. And then the body is different. Yeah.
It is different. It's going to be different. So I've had people in classes who they'll knit a sweater and the sleeves are tight.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, with my numbers, that sleeve should not be tight. That's how I discovered it actually in the first part.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that those sleeves should be tight. But it's also kind of a great trick because some of us have like more.
Yeah.
So you can look at whatever you're knitting, you can look at the top end number on your sleeve, figure out the math on how big that's going to be.
Yeah.
And if you want it a little bit larger or a little bit smaller, you can bump up or down the needle size and
that'll take care of it.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah, and I was thinking that it would be the sleeve that's tighter than the body because you've got this longer circumference, you're more relaxed going around. It's more like knitting in a straight line, I think. Whereas when you're doing a small circumference, things just get tighter. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought of it. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the other cool thing is what I do is I just keep an eye on my gauge as I'm going. And then
yes, I've started that.
if I get out of control, you know what I mean? You can bump it back. You don't have to rip it out, but you can just like knit onto a needle or a larger needle and correct it.
Yeah.
And use it.
Yeah.
It's really
I think a lot of Colorwork has used different size needles to get that shaping, would you say? So that you don't need to then mess with the actual Colorwork design so much.
Yeah. Yeah. It's helpful that way.
Yeah.
I'm doing that on slip over that I'm doing so that the waist is smaller and then moving up. And you don't really know.
Are you doing it there?
It's right here.
Oh.
You were in the Ebba hat.
Yep, and we have the Ebba hat as a kit here in the shop, but this is beautiful. This is going to be a vest, a sleeveless vest.
Yes, and it's out of Biches.
Which one?
Really lovely. The petite.
Petite, great.
And I have a little bit. I have lamb's wool, and I think I have one cashmere.
Yeah, it's lovely.
The very light pink is cashmere,
and it's so Scandinavian looking with the red and the white.
I'm excited about it. It's distracting me. I'd rather be doing this instead of the things I have to do right now. This pattern will be coming out in a before Valentine's Day.
Perfect, absolutely perfect.
Okay, let's jump back to
walk us through the book. So
back to chapter 1 a little bit because we kind of up into chapter 2, but this is the second project in chapter 1.
Gorgeous.
Chapter 2.
So
and this one is really simple. So this is perfect for people that are super new to knitting, and it's a great, like, if you want to have a memorized, kind of like, you know how cooks have like memorized patterns in their
recipes,
like a recipe. This one is easy to memorize. So if you like, I'm not kidding, like I have like gone, like my grandson needed mitts, and I'm like, you need mittens right now, it's really cold. And I just like had this in my head, this math, and then just made him mittens. So it's super easy, super fast to knit. It's like 12 stitches per inch. So if you're new to DPMs, this is the thing.
I may do that. You know, I've been getting more and more curious about DPMs. I've been a magic looper all my knitting, recent knitting. So I might do that. And is this Plutalope?
Yes.
Look at how fluffy it is. It's so fluffy. It's gorgeous and warm and light.
Yes, it's felted a bit.
Okay.
And brushed to make it even more fluffy.
Perfect. That is really sweet.
And then the embroidery I did with Rauma.
Oh, I have never embroidered on my knits yet, but I feel that's coming.
It's super fun. Yeah, it's super fun. So this is, and also I've also like flexi flips, but you can't do flexi flips on these. This type of mitten, the math works out so that you have, it's equally divided on the double point needles so that the decrease in the top just kind of magically happens.
Beautiful.
By just decreasing the last stitch on each needle.
That makes sense. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's that would be an easy knit for someone to get started.
Yes, like a first knitter.
Yeah.
Great. Even with 4 needles, use wooden needles if you're a new knitter.
Okay.
I'm all about metal.
Yeah.
But DPMs start with wood for your first time because sometimes it's slippery.
Wood or bamboo in particular, or
Either one.
Yeah.
Either one, just because it's a little grabby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Positive experience.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's lovely. Oh, and look.
This is a Lars hat.
Yeah.
This is Studio Donegal.
Yeah. Oh, which we are getting here at the shop soon.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
This is my favorite kind of bulky hat yarn these days.
Uh-huh.
It's just, I just love the way that this feels. It's super soft and
It's lovely.
yeah, lovely to work with.
Yeah.
So,
And
simple-
tweedy.
yeah. So if you're not brave enough for a sweater, this is a great
Way. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so you can make any of these projects. This
And
is
so far you're knitting everything in the round. So we're
Everything.
not purling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, Brilliant yet. Yeah. So
Oh.
this Maja has a split hem, which is kind of fun,
Yep.
and lots of color work. The Colorwork's deep. It starts at the top of the body and at
Yeah.
the top of the sleeves before you join it around.
I like that.
Yeah, it's super.
Very nice.
That's a good one. And then there are technically, there's like 2 rows that you could catch a float on this one.
All right. Let's just dipping your toe in. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of at the end of chapter 2. And this one is,
Oh, lovely.
this is, also there's no floats to catch on this one, which is pretty
It's so
cool.
pretty. I love cream and yellow together or gold.
Right.
Yeah.
Had like gold and cream, like I have to put it on timeout because sometimes I will just knit that all the time. I mean, like Meta was that.
Yeah.
Lena,
Oh, yes. Oh, and the blue too.
yeah, this is
Perfect.
coming out. This is coming out, I think next week, right after the book. This
Right.
is cardigan version is out already.
Okay.
But I had some requests for a
So
pullover.
pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, on this sweater, I was like, I started with this. This is Watershed,
Yep.
which has a lot of color in it.
Yep. It does.
So I was thinking that red would be really fun.
Yeah.
I really love light blue and red, but it with the kind of, there's a little bit of lavender in there.
Yeah.
It just didn't work. And I had officially put this in timeout, the gold and white. It's like, no, I can't, because I've had like Soren's daughter this year that's gold and white or blue, so.
You know
and
what your favorite is.
like I just, yeah, I'm really drawn to it for some reason. But then I ended up doing this and I kind of love it. Okay. But this was the culprit of getting me onto golden.
It's
Golden.
gorgeous.
Also, I don't have a ton of gold in the book. And so after I wrote the book, I was like, I need to do gold and white. So that's why after the book, after doing 20 projects, there's this and there's this. These are my gold, but that's the
Right.
only gold in the book. So after that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna knit with gold. Okay. So now we've done chapter 1. We've started chapter 2, which we talked about.
Yeah.
And then this one is the second most difficult project in chapter 3, I guess, in the catching books chapter.
Yeah.
There's this hat that's really, you just have a few floats to catch.
Yeah.
To get practicing, so it's not overwhelming.
Really great.
That's this Dagna. It's like I have a Dagna cardigan. I use the same motif because I kind of love it. This is just a basic set stall,
That's nice.
cozy. And there's a few, I think only 2 floats to catch if you just want to do a little bit.
Yeah. And I love that. You could actually, whoever's knitting could even switch colors up throughout. You're just doing the 2 colors, which keeps it nice and simple, but people could even embellish that.
Absolutely, which would be really fun and make it your own.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. This one is a short sleeve, little.
Pretty.
It has tulips at the top, kind of,
Okay.
it's abstract. But
Yeah.
I'm kind of wanting to make this for Valentine's because it kind of looks like a heart too.
Yeah, it looks like hearts too. Yeah, it's lovely.
Thank you. This is like a 19 stitches over 4 inches. So everything in the book is a pretty fast knit.
Yeah. And
Just
not too fiddly.
be that way. And then Greta and little Greta. This is little Greta.
Pretty. Yes. So pretty.
And this one is, there's often 3 colors in a row, but I have you do 2 colors at once and then add the third with embroidery.
So, right.
With a stitch.
Yeah.
But
I
if
think
you-
that's a good way to do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you want to do 3, you can put 2 in your left and 1 in your right.
Huh.
So that's the other good thing about learning kind of ambidextrous knitting is that it helps you with 3 or 4.
Yeah.
To be using both hands and not dropping.
Right.
One of the things about carrying 1 in each hand is that you can keep the balls separate.
Yep.
They don't get twisted.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I think it's great. A
Yeah.
great way to start. So there's a little version and the big version.
So lovely.
And there are
Pretty. Yeah. Yeah.
happy, these are happy little sweaters. And then the 4th chapter and final chapter introduces purling to knitters. And I know you know how to purl in Colorwork because of where you're from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like all of my, it's been interesting with that. I'm working on a couple of vest patterns and I took a poll and all of my UK friends are like flat
Yeah.
shape. They
Yeah.
don't think twice about knitting back and forth in color.
Right.
Don't.
It's just slower going for me, but it's not as daunting as I think some people think it is.
It is slower going. I think it's slower to purl
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Yeah.
I'm slower when I purl,
Yeah,
but
me too.
it's not. And I think it's a little bit harder because you don't, you are looking on the backside.
Yeah. Right.
So-
So yeah.
You have to learn to read the needle.
Yeah.
You know, that's the other thing about color work is when you're doing color work, you can, it's fine and dandy to go, okay, knit 3 and 3 white, 1 blue, 3 white, 1 blue. But you also have to look at the row below to make sure that you are
Mm-hmm.
connecting it. Because if you don't, it's really easy to make a single mistake and then your whole row's off.
Exactly.
But if you always have kind of a focal point, like it's a top of a triangle or
Yeah.
it's in the center of the stitch. all
Yeah.
the way you want
I
it.
always, when I'm knitting a chart, I will get some washi tape and I put it on the row above that I'm
Yeah.
knitting, because then you're always seeing the full picture going up.
Brilliant. That's one of my tips in the book too. It's like never put it below because that is your compass. Like you have to have the chart match up.
Exactly. And also I think using stitch markers to mark your repeats is totally acceptable. I still do that because it tells me so much faster when I've gone off,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
That's kind of like baby steps, I think. It's
Yeah.
to put it in sections. That
Yeah.
helps. And
Yeah.
then when you get faster, you won't want it because it kind of slows you
It holds you up, but it's still,
Yeah, I love to use yarn for mark, like just with yarn,
Yep.
not an official one, because I find that, sometimes stitch markers, if there's any space, they will leave a mark.
yeah.
You just have like a thin yarn circle.
Yeah. You just tie a little knot in it and use that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
The other thing I would like to encourage in the book is chart independence. And I'm not like asking you to memorize the whole pattern, but to memorize the line.
Yes.
If you can memorize the line and you don't have to keep looking at your pattern, it's so much more enjoyable. And then once you get to a certain point, like with knits that have, like Dagna is a good example like this. Like once you get through the halfway point of Dagna,
It's the
you
same.
can use a mirror image.
Yeah.
You just
So-
use it as a chart.
So are all your patterns in this symmetrical then? Left and right and up and down, or, well, not up and down so much, but left and right?
Not down, but yeah, they're symmetrical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you will be able to sort of memorize, take your eyes off, read your knitting. These are all really great skills that come even doing something fairly basic that will help you on with the next round.
For sure.
Right? Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
one thing that's not like that, and that you're going to be looking at the chart, and that's
Oh my God. Yes.
this one. This is a midsummer pillow.
I love it.
like ships and fish and like little town and bikes and a dollar horse and
The yellow horse and goats up there.
the crowns and the 3 billy goats.
So that's wonderful. And oh, I love it. Oh my God.
This one you would think is hard, but it's crazy. Like the part that's hard is this row. There's a lot of counting on the first row.
Yep.
Once you get that, you just like
Build
knit
off of it.
motif to motif. So you don't have to necessarily count this one, but
Mhm.
the heart, you're like, oh, I start 1 stitch over.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
and then you're all anchored and they're all kind of relationships.
I've often thought that it's really worth your while taking your time with that first setup row or round. Because if you get that wrong, you'll be ripping it out. So
No, is the thing. Oh, my other favorite tip is, and you can tell my kids did Suzuki music because we have like abacuses all over our house, but I use an abacus to cast on. And well, like, you know how you have the beads, right?
yeah.
I'll cast on because sometimes when you're casting on something big, like 360 stitches, you
Got
can
it.
do 20 stitches without being interrupted, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll move a bead every 20
Yeah.
stitches.
Yeah.
And I don't have to even recount it because I know I'm right.
That's awesome. I love it.
But the first row is the most important on anything. It's like the establishing row. And so take your time on that.
Yes. But this is so cute. This is adorable. And it makes me think of something that you said at the beginning, which is you like to put a lot of stories and secret little or motifs that have lots of meaning in them. Can you share some with us? That
with this one or
with whatever you want to tell us.
Okay, well, this one, I mean, this one's pretty fun because it's mostly just summer, which is fun. But for my family, 3 billy goat scruff was a big thing because when we would go on hikes, whenever we come to a bridge, my husband would play 3 billy goat scruff with our little. That's a Norwegian hotel.
Yeah.
The crowns are, I don't know if you know that, but 3 crowns are Scandinavia, so it's Denmark, Norway, Sweden. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Hearts, I use a lot of hearts. There's a heart in this one. And that is love, of course, but the other thing I love is courage.
Yes. Yes.
There's lots of fun things. I mean, I have like in this, where did this, the book. Okay, the only things I don't have with me are the things that are being used by little ones because they grow so fast. So the slippers that are in chapter 4, the little slippers, these guys.
Oh, adorable.
I wrote this one. I kind of love these slippers because when my grandpa immigrated, this is kind of crazy. His older siblings came alone to America, which I can't even imagine in like 1900 or 1904, sending a 12-year-old with a friend to live with an aunt in Minnesota. You know, that's what they went to Minnesota first. And they all came, at the end, the parents came with my grandpa and his 3 little sisters.
Wow.
So the sizes of this slipper are all of the children that were together coming from kind of love. And the star is a Selbu star to represent Norway, you know, because it's kind of a Norwegian symbol, but also it's Norwegian knitting has like symbolic Christian
Is that right?
Yeah. So this is like the North Star, or it could also be Christ.
Yeah.
The guiding light. It's super symbolic. I put a compass on here for their voyage. And the back of the slippers, I'll show you the pattern so you can see, is a sea of stars. And I just think of how the night sky must have looked crossing the Atlantic.
Oh, that's amazing. That just gives it so much depth and gives me shivers. But it's so much more than knitting, isn't it? It's
right?
It's connection and history.
The Southern mittens are another one. It's kind of like the immigrant mitten that you have. You have a kit of that.
Yeah, we do.
This one is similar to that in that it has, I have them here showing you in the book, but they have the, I did flowers around the bottom to represent to be like bloom where you're planted, or in this case, transplanted.
Yeah.
It's like a new life. So this one's also like has a Selbu star for Norway, a compass. I did, and then bloom where you're planted. And
Beautiful.
yeah, and then stars. This one also has the stars for the
Yeah.
Atlantic.
Really amazing. Really, really nice.
Yeah, you're good.
You have more to show us in terms of patterns from the book?
Yes, I have a couple more.
Okay.
This
Let's keep-
what I'm wearing.
Yep.
It's Christiania, which is kind of a special place for me as we're talking about like things that are special to me. When I was little, my grandma had this photo of my grandpa, and it was when he was pretty little. I think he was probably 3 or 4, and on the back it was a beautiful photo, and it was my grandpa. There was one that was my grandpa, and then it was another one that was my grandpa and his siblings. And on the back, it was like, it had this embossed stamp and it said Christiania. I was like, where is that? You know, it's like, that sounds like a fairy tale. And it had like the castle in Norway, in Oslo, in part of the symbol, and then just like this beautiful like flowers around it. And it just seemed like this magical place. And this is where my grandpa was from.
Ah.
My grandpa grew up in Norway when it was like there was an age of nationalism. You think of Greek and just like Norwegian being different than Swedish or Danish, because they used to be part of the whole kingdom, you know, but there was independence. So he had this great pride of his hometown. And when he left, it was Christiania, and then it became Oslo when he was here, which is
so it became Oslo.
Mhm.
It became
So
Oslo.
this is so this is the name of the town when my grandpa lived there.
Yeah,
Is
beautiful.
And this one is back and forth,
Yes.
which is kind of fun at the top.
Yeah.
And then sleeves are in the round.
Yeah.
But part of the design process was really fun. Little Hawken is like this too, that's also in this chapter. I tried to do things back and forth that weren't too overwhelming in color work.
Mhm.
And then you have to read the pattern. It becomes intuitive. Like you don't have to read the instructions so carefully, but I worked it so that you can work 2 colors and then 1 color at a time go in the same direction. So you have to work, like you'll go knit, purl, purl, so that you can get the yarn over
Back.
so it's ready to go back with 2 colors.
That is really thoughtful. That is really good. Yeah.
So it's a really fun knit, and it's back and forth color work, but it's simple.
Yeah.
So don't be overwhelmed by it at all. I have the mittens. I showed you that. Oh, the slippers. The tutorial is actually slippers. This is kind of
Adorable.
Yes, I've discovered that you can do any women's slipper pattern and turn it in, and you with stricket yarn. And if you use a worsted weight, it can be big enough for a man.
Okay, good to know.
And then sizing, you can tweak the size. Like if you want a small slipper, go down a needle, a needle from gauge.
Yeah.
A medium, kind of like a 7 to 9, would be just at gauge. And if you're a woman and you want like an 11, a US 11 or 10, 11, then just bump up a needle size.
Yeah.
That's how
These
you
are so fun to knit as well. I remember knitting mine, and they're really nice to wear, very cozy.
Yes, and this one has a twin around, so that's a tutorial. There's this this.
Yep.
It's kind of Latvian braid, but has an extra twist. I really love to do these with flexi flips.
Okay.
Because you can have just the one pattern on one needle and the other pattern on the other.
Yeah.
And it's separate.
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
And then this is the last pattern. I think we've covered everything. This is just in the round. This is yarn that is from Prince Edward Island. And there's a little section right here that is knit back and forth.
It's what?
That's knit back and forth. So it's in the round.
Right. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And then
So, okay. So you're not sticking anything. You're knitting back and forth.
So you're purling and knitting in color, but not for very long.
Yeah.
So I don't want to overwhelm anyone. Everything's super accessible. It's one thing I'm excited about the book.
It really is. It's lovely. And thank you for sharing all of them. It's jam-packed. I hope that people listening or watching are realizing that they could knit anything they want to in Colorwork. And that
Yes.
it's not this, because we do hear from customers all the time that they're scared to try Colorwork and they're looking for, you know, something to hold their hand and walk them through it. And I think this would be an excellent way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like the book I wish I had had.
Yeah, right.
Because
Right.
it'll take you through everything.
So you alluded earlier that you've got Scandiwork.com in the works and that's going live. What else
this week?
What else do you have coming up? What's next for you?
I have, let's see, I'm teaching a lot, which is kind of fun. I have some patterns coming out. I'm trying to get a lot of patterns out, which is kind of fun. So Lena is coming out. I'm doing, this is a good thing. I'm doing the slipper, the Olsen slipper. I am releasing in an adult size because I really love that motif. And then the Little Hawken I am releasing, which is this one, which I don't think I.
Yes, I like this one. I have it tagged somewhere.
Yeah, there it is. This one.
Yeah, so cute.
This pattern's coming out in adult sizes.
Very good, very good.
And
And we just started selling the clasp similar to what you're wearing and in that pattern. So
yes,
we finally found a distributor in Norway. Yeah.
Yes, and the ribbon.
Yes, and the ribbon too.
Oh, that is so great. I'm so excited. And you have so many great Norwegian yarns.
Yep. Yeah, we're really enjoying the whole Colorwork and Scandinavian aesthetic here. So that you fit right in.
Colorwork friends, right? like,
exactly. Yeah. And okay, so where are you going to be teaching? Are you doing in person? Or are you doing more remote stuff?
Hopefully, I'm doing online. I'm doing an online class for stitches in April.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a Pacific retreat in Sonoma, California in the end of March.
Nice.
I'm teaching on a cruise to Iceland, which is pretty fun. Not kind of crazy. That goes from Boston, and then I'm teaching like classes every day at sea.
Oh my gosh.
So there's
that sounds really fun.
Yeah, it's like 5 different workshops, and everything from slippers to sweaters. And I'm using the book as kind of
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then I'm teaching at Knit Maine in September and at the Prince Edward Island Fiber Festival.
Excellent. Oh, lovely. That's a nice all
Yes.
over the place.
Yes. You know what I want to tell you about? I also will have Solveig is here somewhere. This one's one of my favorite symbolic. This one's in Lane magazine.
Yeah.
And
that's lovely.
I don't know that the story, I haven't told this story yet, or I have, but not widely. But this one I'm kind of crazy about because this motif, this big gold motif right here.
Yeah.
It's midsummer, so it's like the flower crowns.
Yeah.
This one is like stars, and there's like love and courage. This one, the crowns.
Yeah.
Is both my heritage, because my heritage is like Norway, Sweden, Denmark.
Yeah.
So it's crowns, but also in Norway, brides wear crowns.
Huh.
The idea behind the Hardanger, which is an area that my family's from, crowns. So it's like time and generations.
Oh.
So like a girl growing up, getting married, having children.
Yeah.
Growing up, getting married.
That's lovely. I love how you thread stories into your designs, and your patterns often tell that story as well, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes this is the inside, which is kind of fun.
Beautiful.
But sometimes I do family recipes too. And
yes.
With my website, I'm going to share more recipes too.
That's great. Yes. So everybody needs to go. I'm on your wait list for when that goes live. So everybody, if it's not up by the time you see this, just leave your email address and you'll let us know when it's ready.
We are. Our goal is to be up the day that the book launches. So
Perfect.
Let me see this.
Yeah. Well, Kristin, thank you so much. It's been really fun talking to you and hearing all about your book and your knitting and your stories. And it's just wonderful. So I
Yeah.
hope it's a huge success. We will do our best to help that happen.
Yes. thank
It's available here.
from
So
there.
try us first, and if we're sold out, you can get it elsewhere too. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Don't, yeah. Try you first for sure. I had some people like when it's being translated to Russian. of
Is
all
that
things.
right?
Yeah. So, that won't help me, but for you. But
Oh, I
it's just-
love it.
yeah. Yeah.
Published in 2 languages already, or just about. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
Working on translation and I think it'll come out a little bit later.
Do you have more
So-
books? Do you have more book plans ahead?
Yes, I have plans. I'm trying to think of. I want to do the next step after
Okay.
this.
I
Everything
think
here.
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. It's been a long time in the works. After you were finished doing your piece, it took a long time to get to here with COVID, but it's here. I hope you celebrate and have a, big glass of champagne and all of that. I think it's quite an achievement.
Yes, super. Well, it's kind of surreal at this point, but I'm really excited to have it. Like that you have it makes me know that it's really
It's
happening.
real, it's real. All right, well, thanks so much, Kristin. Really
Yes.
enjoyed talking to you.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.